Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to try to tackle twin flames. I'm going to be honest, this is like take number 5 because I keep going off on tangents and then I have to be like, I've lost control of this train, back it up, start over. It's a difficult one because I have a lot to say. I'm probably going to do a podcast episode on it where I can just free flow tangent. I'm going to try to just make a shorter, more concise video though because it's a lot. If you're new here, I'm going to have some controversial and or unconventional ideas. I generally do when I make these kinds of topical videos. So heads up and let's get into it, shall we? Just be clear, I did this whole shenanigan for a few years. For a story I have no time to get into, was 100% convinced this guy was my twin. We were meant to be together. The whole universe was conspiring for it. La 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 la, the thing. Okay, cool. We are not together. We want to be together. I don't want to be with him. It's fine. So the journey to get from that to this, though, was the most painful, but also really, really, really healing. And that's kind of a couple of core points I want to make. Is I'm not sold on twin flames at this juncture. I'm not sold. That is a whole discussion that I've decided to cut out of this video because I can really go on a philosophical tangent about why that does or doesn't make like metaphysical sense to me. I'm going to just not do that part. Maybe in the podcast we'll do that. But to be clear, I'm not 100% sold. I'm not 100% not sold, but I'm not 100% sold. I will say though, I think at best, twin flames are intended to be catalysts for healing for ourselves. I don't think it's intended to be a romantic partnership. I think they are catalytic events for healing because what are twins? Twins are mirrors. And what are mirrors good for? Looking at yourself so you can heal yourself. And I know there's going to be somebody in the comments section telling me that it's because I haven't healed enough or he hasn't healed enough and only then can we be together. And like, I don't want to hear it, okay? I don't want to hear it. I disagree, okay? I disagree fundamentally. Now, here's the problem. I think twin flames is a really convenient spiritual bypass for a lot of really fucked up toxic shit. I think in a modern day Western culture, most people are codependent or attachment avoidant. And those two things create a twin flame union. Or for me personally, I have been working on codependency kind of in layers. And one of the things I discovered was that I have this weird trait where I had the codependent trait where I was valuing myself based on what I could provide another person. However, I always seemed to notice that I was always attaching myself to somebody who was either literally or emotionally unavailable. So it was this weird like combination codependency attachment avoidant where and it's weird. And that was he was in a relationship and I attached myself to that. So it's like a way to keep myself safe, but it's so painful. It's like, well, we'll never actually, like in the back, like subconsciously, we'll never really be together because he's already with somebody else and this can't actually work. So like I'm keeping myself safe because he'll never be with me, so he'll never leave me. That's a subconscious process. And the conscious process is like, oh, one day we'll be together because we're perfect, right? Terrible, terrible. And I think that's really, really common with twin flame journeys where there's this codependency that's really strong. And it's a justification for that codependency. It's a justification for like, I have to be with this person. To make matters worse, and I've discussed this before and I'm sure I will again, you're using a label. You're identifying as something. And in this case, you've identified yourself as half of a whole. You've halved yourself. You have yourself when you decide you're a twin flame. You decided that you are one part of a whole. And that's fucking terrible. And the problem with the identifying is once you've identified with it, it becomes part of who you are, and it's very difficult to remove it again. That's the problem with all labels, and you have to kill that identity to move past it, which is something that I keep having to do. It feels like I keep being like, oh, I've identified myself as something, fuck, and then I have to like kill that identity of myself. I have to remove that person, that version of me, because I know that's not who I truly am. I am not anything that I identify with. right? And twin flames is that. It's an identity that you have then tied to another person. You have tied your entire identity to another person. And that leads the way for so much like justification for poor behavior and unhappiness, which is eventually what happened. Like eventually what happened was we stopped speaking and I was in so much pain. And then I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is garbage. Like, why would I be attracted to or attached to somebody that is this fucking painful? Like, why would I do that to myself? And but it was hard and it took years. It took fucking years, guys. Years. It's so terrible. To not be with somebody for years and be in pain the whole time and identify yourself with that person was worse. It was terrible. But at the end of the day, I learned so much about myself. There were so many traits in him that I admired that I didn't even realize I also had. And then eventually I realized that like the traits that I was admiring in him, I also had in me, and that created this self-love. There were things in him that made me fucking crazy, and then I realized that I also had those things, and I was like, oh, I should work on that. You know, it was very much a journey for myself, and I learned a lot, I grew a lot, and I got to the root of this really intense codependency, and I got to the root of my like wanting people who were emotionally or really unavailable. It was just awful, and it was so cathartic to finally move past that and to realize that this was this big mess. It's like a mental trap. It's like, and I feel like the spiritual world is like that. That's what I've learned. The more I'm in this, the more I feel like, you know, we're in kind of a spiritual war and there's just bear traps everywhere. They're just fucking bear traps. And I feel like twin flames is one of those bear traps because it's real hard to wiggle out of. And it creates this sense of longing and love and this idea that you have a person and you don't have to be lonely and that person will be with you forever. And like, it's just, there's so many cliche traumas that the twin flame persona fits into and then like digs in, and then it's really hard to get out of. The other thing I really wanted to say about the twin flame journey is just as a general rule of thumb, fuck all of those. Anything that has stages and layers, arbitrary stages and steps and a spiritual process is probably bullshit. And that goes for, just run it, just pretty much all the time. The only stages or steps I have ever backed is the alchemical process as it pertains to spiritual evolution and or the dark night of the soul, which I did a video on, right? But it goes through alchemy, and that makes sense to me. But this whole twin flame union where it's a spiritual journey, but there's different stages you have to go through, chasing and running and separation, and like these are natural. There's like 7 stages to come into union with your twin, and like it's this whole fucking thing. Just no. Just no. It's a very unique personal journey, and I think the twin flame journey more than anything else is a journey of recognizing what is not you and that you are whole and that you need nothing else or no one else. That's what it taught me at the end of the day, and it was empowering, but it was a long process to get to. And if anybody is on the twin flame journey and they're like, it's like, it hurts. Like, it physically hurts. When you wake up and you fall asleep, you're thinking about it, let me be the first to tell you. It's not good. That's not love, man. That's not how it's supposed to be. I mean, there's no reason to cling to that idea. There's zero reason. And I will also tell you, as a side note, that I have found once I finally like let that go and worked through what it was I was clinging to, and I found the codependency and the emotional avoidance and all these layers of things and where they were coming from and how I was just being hurt in a way that was familiar to me. Like, I was in pain in a way that I was comfortable with because I had known it for so long, my whole life, really. And that's how I was clinging to it. Once I realized all of that, I was able to like let it go, and I decided what I truly wanted and opened my heart to what I truly want. The kind of interactions and people I'm attracting are not like anything I've ever experienced before. And I really think it's worth moving past. This has really been a tangent. I had this whole like, I had notes, okay? I had notes and I was gonna do like a whole thing. It was gonna be like detailed, like a list of stuff. This is just turned into a fucking tangent of a video. But at the end of the day, I just want to say that like, don't get yourself caught in this fucking trap. It's a trap. This is a bear trap, okay? And it burrows real deep and it's so hard to get out of. But I want to tell you that you can, and that life is way better on the other side. When you ditch the twin flame journey and you become a journey for you, way more empowering. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10. I think the bottom of my notes say, in conclusion, the point is, fuck every single thing you've heard about twin flames, real or not. The identification is toxic and just for all kinds of bullshit. Just heal yourself and accept nothing less than a healthy relationship. Everything will work out. And then it says, but Stormy, aren't you single? And then it says, shut the fuck up, I'm happy. It's gonna be fine. If you made it to the end of the video, please let me know, because I just went on a fucking tangent, and I feel like I hate when I do that. Some of you guys like it, but I don't know about this one. So let me know if you made it at the end. And if you found value in it, make sure you interact. Like, subscribes, shares, comments, etc. And as always, there's a fuck ton of links in the description box. I do tarot readings, I have a podcast that I'm lazy about, and also a website and some stuff and some merch that no one buys, but I made it. It's there. So, yep. That's all I have to say, and have a wonderful day. Good luck on your journey.